Hi, Chuck is glad we had this opportunity to talk together. Really just want to introduce you. Obviously, you're Charles Cordon, but we know you as Chuck. We were together at Reading Church of Christ when you were with the Navy, and since then we've both sort of gone different ways. And
10 years after.
Yeah, and now we're meeting up again.
Yeah.
So I was wondering maybe you could just start explaining a little bit about who you are and where you've been.
Sure.
And
all right. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Kind of a sign of the times to, rather than visiting congregations, to use whatever media format you can to get the word out. But as you mentioned, I was in the Navy and I was stationed in the UK for a while when I was with NATO. But retired from the Navy in 2017 after a career in the Navy, and am now working as a missionary evangelist. We're stopping through Denver on our way back to Tennessee, which is kind of our home base of operations. On our way back from Idaho, since we were unable because of COVID to go back to Africa, we work with the School of Biblical Studies in Jos, Nigeria. And after graduating from the Memphis School of Preaching in 2019, we were recruited to join the African missions team that works with that school. And my wife Marcy and I graduated in June, and in July of 2019 we went to Nigeria for our first campaign, and we stayed there through December, basically the first term. Came back and then in 2020 we were supposed to learn the other side of the trade, which was basically providing canvassing for support, providing updates to congregations, presenting the work, those kind of things. But of course, COVID put a big break on that, and still is. But since we were unable to go back to Nigeria in August, we would have returned for our second time around, but we were unable to because of the international travel restrictions and the pandemic response, of course. So we went to work with some rural churches in Idaho, and we're just completing that work. That now, just recently, international travel has resumed, and the travel restrictions to Africa have also been removed, so we are slated to return to Nigeria on January 5th for our second missionary campaign from January 5th through May of 2021.
so how did you get from retiring from the Navy into the
big jump?
The mission work, and what sort of attracted you to this, and why do you think you're at, particularly Nigeria and Africa, is where you are called to be?
Well, it was a long process. It wasn't an overnight thing. It was personal development and growth in my own faith as I matured as a Christian and proceeded through my different duty stations. I had, prior to coming to the UK, I was in Okinawa, Japan, and I got involved in prison ministry and with the Fishers of Men program, and that was really the turning point. I think the beginning point of my interest in becoming an evangelist and becoming a minister. But that had to play out. I continued my military career, moved to the UK. I was in the UK for about 6 years, and then our daughters, Marcy and I have 2 daughters, and they're grown now, but at that time we had to move back to the States because they were getting ready to go to college. And so we finished up my military career in Virginia, in Chesapeake, Virginia, in the Norfolk, big Navy area. And while I was there, as I was getting ready to retire, we made the decision that we would continue service, just not in the form of the military defense industry anymore, but in the Lord's church. So we made the move out to Memphis, and we attended the preaching school, evangelism school out there, and completed that course of study, and then started with the African missions in Nigeria in 2019.
So how did you find out about the mission in Africa?
As I was moving along that road to retirement, the preacher at the Chesapeake Church of Christ, a fellow by the name of Jerry Reynolds, was an alumnus of the Memphis School of Preaching, and he saw I was serving as a deacon in the church, and I was still doing prison ministry and Fishers of Men program, and I was preaching on a rotating basis, as churches will let men do as they are able and as they want to. He encouraged me to go out to Memphis and attend their lectureship, and I went out there in 2015 and was really taken to it. Went out again in 16, and by 17 decided that when I retired, that's what we were going to do. And I actually I was still on active duty on terminal leave when I started the program out there. Yeah.
So what attracts you to Nigeria? I mean, there's places to go.
So when at 2015, when I was out there the first time, in a lectureship, you usually have the kiosk set up in the fellowship hall, and I came across a display that featured the Jos School of Biblical Studies. A fellow by the name of Randy Fisher was manning that, and I just was drawn to it and started asking questions, and I became a Jos partner, which started the relationship, and that introduced me to a fellow by the name of Steve Worley, who I wouldn't say these things are providence. God has a plan, and Steve just happened to be a retired Navy fellow himself and was living in Savannah, Tennessee, which was only 2 hours away from Memphis. And over those 2 years that I was at Memphis, we developed this relationship and continued to became friends. And as I got ready to graduate, he asked me if I'd come on and join the work with the Jos School of Biblical Studies.
So what does the Jos School of Biblical Studies actually do in Nigeria, and how does that focus into your process? So
the Jos School of Biblical Studies was founded in 1989, and principally Steve Worley was one of the principal people involved, if not the principal person involved in launching this school. And it was the vision that they had was that they needed to establish a preaching school, a school of biblical studies, a school that would train men to become evangelists and preachers, to address the need for having trained evangelists, sound in the doctrine, preaching the word, exhorting in doctrine, and converting the lost souls to Christ.
So why do they see Nigeria as so important? I mean, isn't that required everywhere?
Absolutely. If we've seen in our present work that we just completed in Idaho, every soul is precious in the Lord's sight. The United States is just as much a mission field as anywhere else. What was necessary in Nigeria, and still is Nigeria has, Africa is a continent. Now, a lot of people don't realize that. It's not a country. Africa is a continent of many nations. Nigeria is by far, by a factor of more than 2, the most populous nation in Africa. Its population is, in 2020 numbers, is about 210, 211 million people. That is roughly 2/3 the population of the United States. The size of Nigeria is 1/11 the size of the United States. So you have 2/3 of the population in a space 1/11 the size. Even more so is that Nigeria has one of the fastest population growth rates in the world. Its population is doubling in less than every 20 years. At the present rate, by 2050, the population of Nigeria, which 2050 is not that far away, the population of Nigeria will exceed the population of the United States. And the population of Nigeria will be the third, by the end of this century, Nigeria will be the third only behind China and India, the most populous nation in the world. I'm not saying it's a numbers game, but there's an impetus, there's a need. You know, as the gospel tells us, we see in Acts, there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved. We see and we feel that imperative there. It is our time. This is our time to work. As Jesus said, you know, he must labor during the day. No man can work when it is not day. And so the impetus is on us during our time. The left to its own devices, I can't even, in northern Africa, Nigeria is right on the kind of the frontier, the borderline. Northern Africa is predominantly Muslim, and so there is a need to bring the word to Nigeria, and that's what we're doing. We are giving a man to fish. We are training the trainers there. The school was set up there to teach Nigerians to teach Nigerians.
And I suppose people know, if they know of Nigeria, they know of it because of the conflicts that have been going on and stuff.
Certainly.
And you're predominantly going to be in a relatively quiet area of Nigeria, or is it...
Jos is in the Plateau State, just north of the capital of Abuja. It is on the fringe. It is not, you know, if you were to go to the State Department, state.gov website and look at, you know, travel is not recommended to Nigeria, but it is not in one of the states which is the most dangerous. You know, do not go under any circumstance areas. It's kind of on the frontier. Those are that area where it's the Muslim unrest, Muslim terrorism acts is to the most northeastern part of Nigeria. Jos is slightly removed from that. It principally, I mean, it's because it has since 1989, such a great history. It hasn't had much. It hasn't had a lot of trouble.
And so, what's so special about the Jos Biblical Studies? School of Biblical Studies. What I mean,
yeah.
Where are they? What is their vision for Nigeria, or maybe just for bringing out the word?
So, tremendous growth. Since 1989, the school started with a student body of 12 and with a 2-year diploma in biblical studies. Since 1989, it has grown. It has graduated over 660 evangelists, most of whom are all but, I would say, with the exception of a few who have perhaps died or are still involved as active evangelists in Nigeria in some capacity, whether as preachers, teachers, or both. Present student body size is about 140. It's now offers, it's a 4-year school. It offers 2 university accredited 4-year degrees, one in ministry and the other 4-year degree in biblical studies. It offers a 3-year certificate and a 2-year diploma still as well.
All recognized by the Nigerian government as
Right, all are accredited and recognized by the Nigerian government and fulfills their youth mandatory service requirement as well.
So, what is your role in this?
I came on board not as Steve has been at this for 35 years. He is 80 years old. He is a workhorse and will continue to work until God calls him home. But the reality of the situation is he does need help. He asked me to come on board. I serve principally right now as a guest lecturer. For instance, our first time out there, I taught a third-year class in Romans and Galatians, and a first-year class in Acts. So I'm a guest lecturer. I work inside the faculty as an instructor, as well as developing, and I kind of want to get to military jargon, but I provide that boots on the ground, that physical presence in the school that provides the continuity of that relationship that has been fostered and existed between the school and its operations, from its faculty and administration of its courses, to its budget, to the supporting the overseeing congregation, which is the Gadsden Church of the Elders of the Gadsden Church of Christ in Gadsden, Alabama, and all the partners, whether they be supporting congregations or individual contributors who support this work effort.
And the school itself is 100% Nigerian?
Oh, that's a good question. No. As it has grown, no, there are students from at least, from memory, at least nine other countries. The bulk of matter of fact, I would say out of 140, I believe there's probably like 17 of those students would be international students who might come from the surrounding area: Ghana, Niger, Chad, Cameroon, Uganda, Tanzania.
So then, other than you being a visiting teacher, everybody else is a Nigerian.
As far as the faculty,
master degreed in.
Okay, they're a very sound and very well educated school, which was again the sight, the vision that Steve and the founders had in developing this expertise within Nigeria itself. So yes, so the faculty are at a minimum have master's degrees. We'll have many of them, most were undergraduates and received their undergraduate degree at Jos, and then went on to a master's level program. Many of them at that time had to come to the States. For instance, many would receive their master's degrees at Freed Hardeman. But we're getting away from that now, and then several on the faculty have PhDs, and if they do not have PhDs, they are working towards their PhDs, and those are through the University of Jos in divinity programs.
So the main vision for the school is to develop preachers who can go out, or workers.
Absolutely.
For the local churches, by the local people.
Right, right. In order, the school cannot meet the demands for the number of applicants, but they take as many as they can. The students have to be recommended by a congregation. They are interviewed. They have to pass entrance level exams. And the objective is to train these men as preachers and evangelists to go out back into their villages, tribes, the areas they came from, to fill that demand, that need in Nigeria. Now the student body also has women as well, but the women who receive these degrees become teachers, nurses, mothers, it has both a male and female student body. And
most of the graduates are self-supporting, or some way have to support themselves in order to.
Well, Nigeria is a poor country, which is why it needs the support of the brethren in the United States to fulfill this need, this mission work. Most of the preachers who who graduate from the school will have to have some other form of income and work. The larger congregations might be able to but I think that would be rare. I think they still would have to have a means of independent subsistence.
So at the moment, the school is the administration of the school and the school running is supported through the U.S. congregation, U.S. congregation.
Yes. The operations budget for the administration of the school, including now the students do pay some form of tuition. Each and every student does. But that in and of itself is not enough to support the operations of the school. So the operating budget of the school, including the salaries of the faculty and the general overhead, maintenance, and et cetera, is funded and supported by the Brethren in the United States. That's correct.
And the same as for your own personal support and stuff. You are funded by the U.S., but you're working with your congregation in Savannah.
Yes, the operations budget and the oversight of the operations budget and the school is through the Gadsden Church of Christ in Gadsden, Alabama. Steve and I are missionary evangelists for the Africa Missions Program, overseen by the Savannah Church of Christ in Savannah, Tennessee, which is, again, my home base of operations. And of course, yes, I have my work fund that I have to raise myself as well. Yes.
So if people are interested in finding out more about how to get involved with the work or what to do or where should they go?
Okay.
Where can they find out more about what you guys are doing and the sort of work and maybe
so
find
there's
out...
two animals there, if you will. There's on the work, the Jos School of Biblical Studies and its operation and its budget, overseen by the Gadsden Church of Christ. Steve and I put out about 3 times a year, put out a newsletter called the Jos Journal. Provides all kinds of updates and things that the school's got going on, special needs, programs, what have you, on the school. And on the back page of every one of those is a application or form to become a Jos partner. And so information can be garnered from the Jos Journal, and I will provide Ian, I'll provide you Jos Journals. Regarding my own personal work fund, again, that's overseen, that monies don't come to me, that's overseen by the Savannah Church of Christ in Savannah, Tennessee, by the elders there. Funds have to be noted for Jos, for Chuck Cordon, Jos Work Fund, and people can contact me directly. I guess we're going to set that up using you right now as a conduit to information from me.
I can give people their contact details or what they need to do if they're interested in helping out.
Yeah, and I will also provide, normally, as I said, we're flexing to the time here. I can also provide I will be providing you a PowerPoint presentation that provides much more detail on the things that we've kind of rudimentally covered here during this time. But that can be referenced as well.
Right, and then you have a PowerPoint presentation which I can make available for people to see exactly what their work does and what they're up to. And
any questions? We field any questions on the work, the school, what Marcy and I are engaged and involved in. Absolutely, we're happy to answer and address any of those.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cool. That was 25 minutes.